I'm Ann Aragon, and I had the privilege of being Frank's engineer for the first 8 years out of the 9 years of the show. I grew up in a wonderful family with a dad who was a diehard Cincinnati Reds fan. But when we lived in San Diego County before the days of the internet and only occasionally got to watch the Reds play on television, it's hard to believe as a little girl rooting for the Reds with my dad that God was preparing me to be the radio engineer to one of the Cincinnati Reds pitchers I was rooting for. Fast forward to age 22, I'm working at Salem, Los Angeles, part-time board engineering for the Hugh Hewitt Show on KRLA, when Hugh mentions that Frank Pastore is down to 400 pounds. I know at this time that was an inside joke, but I didn't know that then. And so when I found out that Frank was the man to be hired for the job for the afternoon host, and I was to be his engineer, I was expecting to meet a much larger Frank than the man that I did meet. Not that Frank wasn't tall, he towered above me and had a larger-than-life personality. I remember the first show we had, going into the studio and praying for Frank before his first broadcast. We survived that first show and beyond and made our mistakes together and joined and learned in our expertise together. Frank had a short nickname for everyone. John Townsend became JT, Dr. James Dobson became Doc, and producer Patrick Hennessy became Pat. One of my claims to fame is the fact that Frank actually lengthened my name, from Ann to Annie. My parents called me Annie when I was a little girl, so there was a certain sweetness to the nickname. I became Engineer Annie, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I started the tradition of saying, "Have a good show," in Frank's ear every day before the show. It became a ritual for us, and praise God, most of our shows did turn out to be good. Frank was Mr. Casual, always wearing jeans, a t-shirt, and boots. I remember when we were doing a broadcast in the first year for 3-Day Soup Broker. The sponsor, everyone remembers this, I can't wait. The sponsor allowed Frank to pick out some items for his wardrobe. What did Frank choose? He chose a bunch of silk t-shirts and a tuxedo. Silk t-shirts and a tux? Silk t-shirts are meant to be worn underneath a suit that he doesn't wear, and then a tuxedo that he wouldn't be caught dead in, right? But that was Frank. Even at the governor's ball, he got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, and what was Frank wearing at that event? Jeans. Even Dr. Dobson commented on it when he went to Focus on the Family in Colorado, and Dr. Dobson said, "Frank, we have a dress code here." But that was Frank, always casual and always relatable to our audience and the average person. Frank was casual, but he did have high standards and want things done a certain way. We fought over bumper music from time to time. And I have to say that I could never hear Boston's Peace of Mind or Highway to the Danger Zone without thinking of Frank. Frank was a true professional. We taught him how to turn his microphone on and off, record spots on his own, and punch up his own calls. He was always willing to do his part, and I never felt like I was the one serving him. I felt like part of a team that was reaching towards a greater purpose, producing a wonderful quality Christian radio show that was drawing people closer to God. We would have guest hosts on occasionally, and they were so quiet during the breaks. I learned then how special and different Frank was. He was always talking to me, our producer, a guest, or a caller while we were on commercial break. He gave every guest and every topic his all, and he took the extra effort to connect with you on a personal level. That's the kind of man Frank was. There was a period in the show where we would do live World Vision spots after the traffic reports. I would cue him in his ear, "World Vision." One time I forgot to cue him early enough, and after traffic there was a few seconds of dead air. So I cued quickly, "World Vision," and Frank just sprang into action. That became an inside joke between us for years. We would just walk down the hall and say, "World Vision!" quickly at each other. We had wonderful shows with amazing, powerful ministry. We would joke that I got paid to push Frank's buttons. But it was such an honor to do so much more than that. Every year I would try to put together a blooper reel and a highlight reel of the show from the year. It was a good way to remember the silly mistakes and the amazing moments of ministry we had. One of my favorite times on the air was when Mark and I became engaged, and we went on the air afterwards to tell our story. We called our families, and then we called Frank. Some of my favorite guests were the New Life guys. We had Stephen Arterburn, John Townsend, and Henry Cloud. In part, they inspired me to go back to school and get my master's degree in marriage and family therapy. Frank was supportive of my career dreams, even though he knew that he would lose me as an engineer someday. He was so supportive, and he always said he couldn't wait to have me on as a guest once I was a licensed therapist and ready to come on the show. I'm so saddened that I'll never get that opportunity. But I will always be grateful for the memories and the ministry I shared with Frank. What a blessing to work together as part of a tight team to accomplish great things for the cause of Christ. I will greatly miss Frank, and I will continue to pray and support his family in any way that I can. Thank you.